Did you try to replicate whenever you're thinking of creators for 100 Thieves? Are you thinking you're trying to replicate what happened growing up in OpTic?
Can't replicate that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think doing a content house in my mind was like, oh, we're replicating that, but that was something that had been and was working well for a lot of different folks beyond just what we did at OpTic. I mean, it was certainly like inspiration, but you can't. The one thing I've learned is that you cannot replicate or repeat or even recreate time and history between friends and the things that you experience at a certain point in your life. No matter how hard you want it to feel like that, it's never going to be that because you didn't experience life together in that way.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was a lot different. But you guys, I mean, I guess I wasn't there. I watched 60/50. I wasn't part of it, and it seemed like it's weird because I feel like a lot of people talk about the Scuff House, and a lot of people talk about now the Hex Quarters. But like 60/50, like it does none of this happens without 60/50, and I don't even know if any of that happens without 60/50. Like I don't even know if a lot of what is happening in COD happens without 60/50. I mean, thinking about other controller esports, they're almost all gone. Halo's hanging on. But what separates COD from Gears of War and from all these, controller esports that haven't made it? And I think it is what you guys did.
I mean, I could see some validity to that, but to be honest with you, I think everything I learned is a lot of success, depending on where you come from or how you find the success or what that success is and what industry, it all just comes down to timing. You know what I mean? The 60/50 days were special, and who would have ever known and thought that, like, what people consider now the glory days of Call of Duty, not even just competitively, but even like YouTube and just like the excitement of the game, the way that people like view Fortnite now or Primetime Verdansk, we just had the right timing. And we had a special group of guys, and it was like this special moment where internet was growing rapidly on YouTube, and then Justin TV turned into Twitch. I think those days were very, very special, but I think it was just really good timing, honestly.
I've heard you, I've watched a bunch of podcasts with you leading up to this, and I've heard you say that a bunch. And not to disagree with you, but I'll push back on you a little bit. I've seen a lot of people blow up from a lot of things, and they don't, and then they go back once the blow up ends. I've seen a lot of people blow up from Fortnite, now they're back. I've seen a lot of people blow up from the early days of COD, and now they're back. But you've had 4 or 5. You fucking compete. You're the biggest streamer and uploader on competing. And then you do business. And then you start vlogging. You're a huge vlogger. Then you stop doing that. Now you're streaming again. You're one of the biggest streamers. So like, I understand what you mean by you're saying timing, but also like,
oh, it's good gas.
You're that fucking guy. Like when it comes to that. I appreciate it. Same with Seth, and I feel the same exact way with Seth, and I think Hector would be too if he wasn't like so locked down with business. So I think like especially what you three were created there, like really did set the fucking bar for what COD has ended up being, because you don't really have anyone like that in these other esports, except some of the ones that did make it.
I mean, maybe it's different when you're living it versus like watching it, I would say, and maybe it's just like a perpetual feeling of imposter syndrome. But I mean, listen, I'm not ignorant enough to not have some confidence and pride in my ability to talk to the camera. I think it's the self-consciousness of my youth and the insecurities that I had, and a weird part of being on the spectrum in some way or another, where when I deliver a message or ever speak on camera, or I'm speaking to somebody even in real life, I just want to articulate myself so they know exactly how I feel. Like I want to download my brain, because I want them to feel like the empathy that I might have for, depending on the topic that we're talking about, or how strongly I love something or how strongly I hate something. The way that I describe myself, as people have told me, is what resonates with them, but I'm just like, that's just how my brain thinks. And so I think that's led to some success, but I'm not sitting here trying to like act like I'm not good at what I do. But I think in my younger years, I thought a lot about like, oh, every guy has an ego. Everybody loves himself in certain ways, in certain situations. But like when I was younger, I'm like, oh fuck, dude, I'm really doing this shit. Like I'm really getting after it. I'm like, this is going great. Like things are awesome right now. But it's just like I don't really think about that stuff anymore. And that's why I think streaming has been so fun for me, because I just basically turn on the stream, say whatever the fuck I'm thinking. I don't really look for dope that much anymore. I'm just like, this is my job now. I'm trying to make a living for my wife, and then I'm trying to get back and watch my daughter grow up. So I really appreciate it. I don't even know what we're talking about now at this point, but I think, I attribute a lot of things to timing, but like I just ended up being pretty good at talking to people, which doesn't really make sense to me because I was very antisocial as a kid. So